From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. expressed confidence with the government's disaster preparedness, but directed agencies to continue close surveillance and interagency collaboration as Northern Luzon recovers from Super Typhoon Nando and prepares for severe tropical storm Opong. On Wednesday, President Marcos presided over a situation briefing with the National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council or NDRMC at Camp Aguinaldo in Quezon City to assess Nando's impact and prepare for Opong, which is expected to intensify before making landfall in the Bicol region on Friday afternoon. Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro Jr., who also leads the NDRMC, said that the president was pleased with the level of preparation, including the prepositioning of relief supplies and vital equipment. Teodoro said that while agencies were prepared, portions of northern Luzon remained without electricity. He added that the government is assisting approximately 7,000 evacuees, with damage assessment still underway owing to the current bad weather. He also said that sufficient money is available to support response efforts. Nando has left the Philippine area of responsibility, although it continues to disrupt sections of the country after battering northern Luzon. Meanwhile, Opong, the 15th storm to impact the archipelago this year, is expected to move northwestward while approaching eastern Visayas. According to the 5 in the afternoon bulletin of the Philippine Atmospheric Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration or PAG-ASA, on Wednesday, Opong has intensified into a severe tropical storm.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. will make public appearances this week following a period of absence. Malacañang clarified that there are no security concerns. The president has held private meetings in Malacañang, according to the palace. Presidential Communications Office, PCO, Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro, in a media briefing, said that the president will have a busy schedule till Saturday, including public events. When asked if the president's absence from public events was due to security concerns, Castro responded no.
Busy po ang Pangulo sa mga private meeting sa palasyo at sa susunod po hanggang Sabado ay marami po siyang gagawin pong paglabas at magkakaroon po siya ng mga events. So, tingnan po natin ang kanyang mga activities sa mga susunod pang mga araw. Wala pong nararamdaman sa kasalukuyan na threat. Of course, maliban lang, sabi nga natin, sa mga nakaraang threat ng Vice Presidente sa kanyang buhay. Sa ngayon po ay wala pong direct threat na nakikita at nararamdaman ng Pangulo at ang gobyerno. At nagkataon lamang po siguro na wala pong activities, pero tingnan po natin. At bibigyan po namin ng ang media advisory kapag po maaari na po kayong sumama sa kanyang mga activities.
The president's last known public appearance were on Saturday when he announced the return of 60 billion pesos to the Philippine Health Insurance Corporation at the Dr. Jose Fabella Memorial Hospital in Manila and revealed the student beep cards at LRT2.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. was outraged by reports of alleged kickbacks in government infrastructure projects and substandard flood control structures in Bulacan Province, Malacañang said. In a press briefing, Presidential Communications Office or PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said President Marcos does not condone any form of abuse by erring government workers or their conspirators, including the misuse of public funds. This came after former Public Works Bulacan 1st District Assistant Engineer Bryce Erickson Hernandez, at the resumption of the Senate Blue Ribbon Committee hearing Tuesday, admitted that all infrastructure projects were substandard since 2019 due to systemic corruption. Castro said the admission about the substandard flood control projects is really saddening, lamenting that the ones benefiting are only those who are getting richer. During the Senate hearing Tuesday, controversial contractor Pacifico Curly Discaya also claimed that the kickbacks in government projects have risen to 25 to 30% under the Marcos administration, allegedly lower than the 15% under the Duterte administration and 10% under the Aquino administration. Castro slammed the government officials who are demanding a 30% cut from the infrastructure projects under Marcos's watch, describing them as just overly greedy and never satisfied.
Galit po ang Pangulo sa ganyan. Kaya nga po pinasimulan niya ang pag-iimbestiga na ito, at sa ngayon po nakikita natin kung gaano ba nagiging mapang-abuso ang karaniwang mamamayan at kasabwat ang ilang mga public officials. So, hindi po dapat ipagmalaki na napakalaki ng nakikickback o nagiging komisyon ng mga public officials na ito. Kaya po galit ang Pangulo. Wala po nakikita kung ano man dahilan. Siguro sobra lang pong ganid ang mga public officials na ito at walang kabusugan. Kakalungkot na malaman yan. Hindi lamang po ang Pangulo ang malulungkot. Lahat po tayong taong bayan ay malulungkot po sa nakita at nasabing ganyan na kumbaga itong mga proyektong to ay para sa kalahatan, para sa ikagiginhawa ng mga kababayan natin. Pero ang mga gumiginhawa ay yung mga tao lamang na siyang nagpapayaman. Muli, ito po ang ayaw ng Pangulo. Ang budget na inilalaan ay para sa bayan at sa taong bayan. Kaya nga po, nagpasimula ang Pangulo sa pag-iimbestiga ng ganitong mga klaseng korupsyon. Mas maganda rin po sana kung noon pa, nung panahon na hindi pa po ang Pangulo ang nakaupo, napunan na rin po sana nila ang mga ghost projects na yun dahil nakakahiya po talaga.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO, Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday said the extensive investigation into anomalous flood control projects is yielding results, noting that the Independent Commission for Infrastructure or ICI is gathering evidence on the alleged irregularities. Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said concerned agencies such as the Department of Justice or DOJ and the Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH have taken appropriate actions to file criminal charges against the individuals involved in the questionable and non-existent flood mitigation projects. She added the Anti-Money Laundering Council or AMLAC has also secured freeze order on the assets of individuals and entities currently under investigation for their alleged links to flood control mess. Castro said President Marcos wants to ensure there is sufficient evidence against those behind the anomalous flood control projects. She assured the ICI will remain an independent body amid its investigation into the alleged misuse of funds for flood control initiatives. She said the ICI will pursue all possible angles to complete its evidence, including reviewing government documents.
Nakikita na ang unti-unting pamumunga ng pinasimula ni Pangulong Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. na pagpapaimbestiga sa mga maanumalyang flood control project sa bansa. Ang pagiging independent ng isang investigating body ay makikita kung ito ba ay impartial, walang kinikilingan, walang kinakampihan, walang tinatanggap na suhol o napapamalitang tumanggap ng suhol para ipagtanggol ang nasasabing sangkot. Ang ICI ay isang independent commission, mag-iimbestiga, at saan ba sila kukuha ng mga impormasyon? Sa lahat na maaari nilang pagkakuhanan. You just cannot get evidence out of thin air. Magmumula rin ito sa mga dokumento mula sa gobyerno. Hindi lamang yun ang titignan ng ICI. Lahat ng anggulo na maaari nilang makuha para makumpletong ebidensya, kukuhanin po nila. Kung may maitutulong po ang Senado, ang House of Representatives, sa kanilang mga naisiwalat na dyan sa pamamagitan ng kanilang pag-iimbestiga, bakit naman hindi pwedeng itulong ito?
Dismissed DPWH Bulacan 1st District Engineer Henry Alcantara and former Assistant Engineers Bryce Erickson Hernandez and JP Mendoza arrived at the ICI office in Taguig City on Wednesday to attend the independent body's hearing into the anomalous flood control projects. The ICI has yet to issue a statement on the results of its latest inquiry.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday emphasized the need for potential witnesses involved in the flood control controversy to fully cooperate by disclosing everything they know and returning any ill-gotten wealth they may have accumulated. This after controversial contractor couple Pacifico Curly Discaya and Cesara Sara Discaya recently met with Department of Justice or DOJ officials to discuss the possibility of becoming government witnesses. In a press briefing, Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro acknowledged that the law does not explicitly require witnesses to meet conditions such as returning stolen assets before being granted protection under the Witness Protection Program or WPP. Castro, however, stressed that under Republic Act RA 6981, witnesses must cooperate with respect to all reasonable requests of officers and employees of the government who are providing protection under this act. She added that the DOJ has the discretion to impose reasonable conditions for admission into the WPP. Castro said government resources will be used to protect the potential witnesses, making their full cooperation crucial to ensuring accountability and justice. She said they should not wait for legal action for the recovery of stolen funds, stressing that it is only proper for them to return their ill-gotten wealth to demonstrate good faith.
Unang-una po, kapag sinabi po natin nasasalang dito, sila po ay kinakailangang magsalita, magsabi ng katotohanan. Buong katotohanan. Tell all, kumbaga. Kapag sinabi nilang tell all, ibig sabihin pati yung liabilities nila ay dapat na maisiwalat. At kapag may pag-amin na sa kanilang naisiwalat na kanilang di umanong pagnanakaw sa kaban ng bayan, hindi po ba nararapat din na isoli nila ito upang makita ang kanilang good faith? Instead, na hintayin pa na ang gobyerno ang magsampa ng kaso sa kanila. Ang mga witness na nagnanais ng protection mula sa gobyerno ay humihingi ng tulong sa gobyerno. Hindi po ba dapat din na sila'y magbalik sa gobyerno habang sila ay pinoproteksyonan? Gagastosan sila ng gobyerno, so kailangan din po na sila ay tumulong sa gobyerno. Bakit pa natin hihintayin na ang gobyerno ay magsampa ng kaso para mabawi ang mga nanakaw nila kung sila naman mismo ang umaamin na sila ay minanakaw sa gobyerno?
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang dismissed Vice President Sara Duterte's claim that the government had neglected overseas Filipino workers or OFWs as fake news after a scam welfare check on detained former President Rodrigo Duterte in The Hague. Claire Castro, Undersecretary of the Presidential Communications Office, PCO, and Palace Press Officer said that the Vice President's claims are baseless and contradict the Department of Migrant Workers or DMW record of responding to requests for assistance from troubled Filipinos abroad. She said that the government has fully operational migrant workers offices staffed by labor attaches in countries with big Filipino communities to ensure that OFW's welfare needs are met. Castro emphasized that the DMW has quick response teams that instantly coordinate with police and municipal authorities abroad for rescues and emergency situations. The palace reaffirmed that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has constantly prioritized the protection of OFWs. Castro declined to comment on Duterte's second allegation that embassy workers in The Hague were dispatched to conduct a scam welfare check on the 80-year-old former president who is facing charges before the International Criminal Court for his drug campaign. She said that the Department of Foreign Affairs would be the appropriate agency to handle the situation.
Ang statement po na yan ng Vice Presidente, ang tutugon po dyan ay ang DFA. Pero ang tutugunan lamang po natin ay yung kanyang huling mensahe patungkol po dun sa di umanong mukhang hindi alam ng pamahalaan na maraming OFWs na detained, distressed, abandoned, or neglected. At ito daw po ay hindi natutugunan ng gobyerno. Yan po ay malaking kasinungalingan. Nakausap po natin si USEC Undersecretary Bernard Olalia at tinanong po natin kung ano ang masasabi ng nasabing ahensya. Mayroon po tayong Migrant Workers Office o MWO na nasa mga destinasyon o mga bansa na malakas o malaki ang populasyon. Ito ay headed by labor attaché. So lahat po ng mga kinakailangan or pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan sa ibang bansa, especially the OFWs, ay tinutugunan ng ating gobyerno. At yan din po ang nais ng ating Pangulo. Lahat ng pangangailangan ng mga OFWs, ng mga kababayan natin na sa ibang bansa, dapat matugunan agad-agad. At ayon sa record po ng DMW, lahat ng humihingi ng tulong sa kanila, 100% nilang natutugunan at may records po sila. At meron din pong quick response team ang DMW at kung kinakailangan ng rescue at hindi sila agad nakakapasok, humihingi agad sila ng tulong sa mga otoridad, mga police authorities sa nasabing bansa. Kaya ito pong binabanggit ng Vice Presidente na walang naitutulong sa mga OFWs, it is another fake news.
Presidential Communications Office PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
Malacañang on Wednesday distanced itself from the International Criminal Court or ICC's decision to formally charge former President Rodrigo Duterte with 3 counts of crime against humanity over the deaths linked to his war on illegal drugs. In a press briefing, Palace Press Officer Claire Castro said the Philippine government is not involved in the ICC's investigation or proceedings. Castro said Duterte's fate now rests with the International Court's prosecutor and drug war witnesses.
No reaction. The government, the Philippine government has nothing to do with the investigation, with the hearing or proceedings before the ICC. So hayaan po natin ang mga prosecutors doon at ang mga witnesses na silang gumanap ng kanilang katungkulan.
In a court document signed by Deputy Prosecutor Mame Mandianiang, Duterte was charged with 3 counts of murder against humanity for the deaths of 78 individuals during the anti-illegal drugs campaign he initiated when he was Davao City Mayor and during his presidency. The first count involves murder in Davao City where 19 victims died between 2013 and 2016. The second count pertains to the murder of high-value targets across the Philippines, involving 14 victims from 2016 to 2017, while the third count covers murder and attempted murder during barangay clearance operations nationwide, with 45 victims between 2016 and 2018. Castro also responded to Vice President Sara Duterte's statement that there is a commitment from another country to host her father should his request for interim release be granted by the ICC.
Nagbunga naman po yata ang madalas niyang pagbabiyahe. So kung yan ay good news po sa kanila at kung ano po magiging desisyon ng ICC, tatanggapin naman po yan ng pamahalaang Marcos Jr.
Presidential Communications Office, PCO Undersecretary and Palace Press Officer Claire Castro.
Dateline Malacañang.
In other news, Saudi Arabia has praised its steadily growing political, economic, and people-to-people ties with the Philippines and vowed to sustain its development cooperation with the country ahead of the 56th anniversary of diplomatic relations next month. Speaking at the Saudi Arabia National Day reception in Makati City, Saudi Ambassador to the Philippines Faisal Ibrahim Al-Gamdi underscored the more than $5.8 million worth of humanitarian projects funded by the King Salman Humanitarian Aid and Relief Center in the Philippines. The funding covers at least 16 humanitarian and development initiatives nationwide, targeting key sectors such as health. Among Saudi Arabia's health-related assistance this year was a sponsorship of the separation surgery for conjoined twins Clea and Maureen Ann, the third set of Filipino twins to benefit from the kingdom's medical aid. Beyond health programs, Riyadh also strengthened its educational cooperation with Manila through the continued provision of scholarships for Filipino students. For academic year 2025 to 2026, the kingdom granted 265 scholarships for Filipinos pursuing higher education in Saudi universities. In a separate speech, Foreign Affairs Undersecretary Maria Teresa Dizon de Vega said the Philippine government also looks forward to seeing stronger cooperation with the kingdom. The Philippines formally established diplomatic relations with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia on October 24, 1969. The Arab state hosts over 700,000 Filipino workers and residents currently.
Dateline Malacañang.
Security ties between the Philippines and Vietnam were further strengthened following the courtesy call of the head of Vietnam People's Navy or VPN, Vice Admiral Tran Tan Nghiem, and Philippine Navy Chief Vice Admiral Jose Maria Ambrosio Ezpeleta. A PN statement on Wednesday quoted the Nghiem telling Ezpeleta during the meeting at the naval station Jose Andrada in Manila, saying that the country shares common interests as well as difficulties with them and must address together for peace and stability. Nghiem lauded the success of the 8th Philippines-Vietnam Personnel Exchange held at Northeast Cay in July and expressed hope that such collaborative engagement will be maintained for years to come. Both navies also reaffirmed their strong record of humanitarian support, noting that since 2011, the PN had rescued 23 Vietnamese fishers, while the VPN had saved 60 Filipino fishers. For his part, Ezpeleta expressed his appreciation for the growing partnership between the two navies and for all the help and support the Vietnamese have given the Philippines, especially in assisting distressed Filipino fisher folk at sea. Both navies reaffirmed their commitment to sustain regular engagements and explore future opportunities for Navy-to-Navy talks and regional maritime security cooperation. PN Public Affairs Office Chief Captain Benjo Negranza said Nghiem's visit reaffirms the enduring partnership between the Philippines and Vietnam respective navies, anchored in mutual respect, operational cooperation, and a shared commitment to regional peace, stability, and maritime security.
Dateline Malacañang.
Finally, for Dateline Malacañang, a delegation of Ukrainian parliamentarians visiting the Philippines cited the huge potentials for collaboration with Manila, particularly in boosting trade and developing the defense industry, including the possible co-production of drones. Ukrainian Member of Parliament Vadim Halaychuk said the Philippines, a staunch supporter of just and lasting peace in Ukraine, was well positioned to become a priority partner in Kyiv's policy for Ukrainian restoration. Fellow Ukrainian MP Lesha Vasilenko highlighted Ukraine's status as one of the world's more military developed and sophisticated nations today due to its expertise and advancements in weapons technology, especially in military drone production. Since Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Vasilenko said her country was able to grow the number of its drone producers to over 1,000, who continuously innovate and develop the equipment to meet the current needs of each Ukrainian military unit. Ukrainian ambassador to the Philippines, Yulia Fedev, earlier said Ukraine is looking to forge a memorandum of understanding on defense cooperation with the Philippines, a deal she hopes would pave the way for possible talks on joint co-production. As of writing, the Ukrainian embassy in Manila has yet to provide an update about the progress on the MOU signing. Halaychuk Vasilenko, together with Tamila Tasheva MP, are in the Philippines as part of a delegation composed of members of the Ukrainian parliamentarians and representatives from leading Ukrainian analytical institutions. The visit comes as Ukraine looks to deepen its overall bilateral cooperation with the Philippines amid the evolving security challenges in the region.
Dateline Malacañang.
And that is all for today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This has been Bea Gaza-de Guzman.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila. Dateline Malacañang.